Okay, welcome to tonight's 5 charts in 5 minutes. I'm trying a different microphone tonight, so I'm hoping that I'm not going to waste 5 minutes because it's going to be crappy. But here we go. Alright, first one I'm going to have a look at today, I'll just press the start on this 5-minute timer, which you can't see. Anyway, we're off. Just to start, I just wanted to, out of interest, do a comparison between the XJO and the Dow over the last 5 years. Just to get an idea of where we look like we're at. The Dow's been travelling pretty strongly in the last few months, and we don't really feel like we've been chasing just as hard. So I thought I'd have a look and actually plot it. So the blue line here that you see is the Dow, and the chart is the XJO. And obviously they both hit the bottoms around the same time during the GFC, and tracked pretty similarly for the 5 years before, or for the couple of years before that. On the bounce, as you can see, until probably late 09 we were pretty similar, but in the last 12 months particularly, even you could probably argue right back here to July 10, we're travelling pretty similarly, but the Dow's definitely kicked away in the last 6 to 8 months. So whether that means the Dow's got ahead of itself, or we're a little bit behind and have a bit of catching up to do, I suppose only time will tell. But sometimes it's interesting to overlay charts and just get a feel for really where we're at, and I would suggest there's no reason why we couldn't break 5,000 and have a little bit of a run up here, providing the like I said in the first place, that the Dow isn't overextended, which you'd think a dip would be helpful. I wouldn't hurt the Dow in the short term at least. Right, we're going to get out of this one and we'll look at 4 other charts just quickly. This is Caltex, and I've mentioned several times on the Twitter lately about playing the break of first range in the news. I've actually done a scalp in the news video back in October, and I'll put a link to it with the post with this one on the CFD Traders Edge website. But this is a 1-minute chart of Caltex today, so it reported before open, and here's its first half-hour range, which we see a high of, I can actually get on there, high of 1484, low of 1455. So it opened strongly, and then the profit taking started to kick in, dipped, and formed that first range. So what we're looking for once it bounced back into that range, is a break either way out of that range. So if it breaks to the downside, we'll actually look to short it. If it can break to the upside, we'll go long. And as you see, it did break to the upside. I think my entry was pretty much right on the break of that. Where were we? 1484. It was somewhere around there, I'm sure, when I called it, and I got a bit of a position. I actually got a very small position there and added the next break up here, so it was more around the 1490 where I got a decent position. But add the break of that. As far as the stop, you could either go 50% back into this range, or maybe if you wanted to be tight, you could rack some fibs on it and even go to the 38 fib as a tight stop, or look for previous support on this little uptrend that it formed on the bounce. So there was support there at 1470. A stop just under that would suggest that it's broken that uptrend. So a few nice tight little stops. If you wanted to give it all the way back to intra lows, you could. But either way, just remember to set your position size accordingly. There's no way I'm going to get 5 charts in 5 minutes. I've only got a minute and a half to go. But just wanted to show these news plays. They're amongst my favourite plays. I tend to lock some in once it's settled for the day, and then if it closes relatively strongly, keep a portion overnight, because a lot of these report plays do have a follow-on the next day. If you wanted to look for potential targets, you could maybe move out to that's an end of day chart. That's the 12-month end of day chart. So it's broken, obviously stiff res there at 1509, so that was the first place that we needed to watch for it to break, which it did break late in the afternoon. You could even go right back to the weekly, and it might seem strange as a short-term trader that I'm looking at weekly targets, but it can just give you an idea of where they may hit resistance even on the very short term. So you could look at this weekly and go right back down to here, which is like 1550 odd, that's not too far away, so that would definitely be my first area, and if it gapped up around there tomorrow, I'd probably be looking to lock some in. But that's Caltex. Next one I'm going to have a look at is Flight Centre. Again, a reporting play today, so we'll go back to the 1 minute chart. There's the initial range. It was actually soft early. There's the video. Alright, we'll just keep talking, it'll be a little bit longer today. So there's the initial range. I was actually short overnight and covered some of these early, but actually mucked this trade up pretty dramatically. It didn't cost me much money wise, but wasn't happy with the way I traded it at all. In that, again, via my rules, there's the initial range is there, sorry, so there was a short on the break of that first low, which was quite fine. Got out there, but it actually went back and broke the high, so 23.28 highs. It actually did break that in the afternoon. I actually went short again here, where it looked like it was forming a double top and failing, and I should have been out as soon as that was breached on the way back up, but it gapped up here and it spiked a little, so I didn't cover and gave it a little time. It dipped here and then bounced again, and then I had to give it back to this one. So I actually gave a lot of profits back in this one. I wasn't at all happy with the way I traded it. But by rights, there should have been a short scalp and break of that initial range, and then treat it as a totally new trade and look for the long when it broke the 23.28 to the upside, and there was another 30 or 40 ticks in that if you could hold on. So yeah, plenty of volatility on these reporting plays, and that one I didn't trade very well at all. So that got a big cross from me. Alright, we'll do one more just quickly. This is IDL, we'll go back to the end of the day. Mentioned this one on the swing. So nice, you could argue that was a nice little ascending triangle, or almost an equilateral triangle here. And it broke that today, so it broke the res at $1.32.5 today, and creeped up quite nicely. We go to a 1 minute chart, pretty much uptrended all day, so nothing wrong with that at all. There's a 15 minute chart. I'll just go back to end of day chart. So it's broken the triangle. If we apply triangle rules as far as targets, high of $1.32.5, low of $1.26.5, gives us a 6-cent target from the break. So 138.5 would suggest first target. Closed at 136.5, so it's almost there now. I actually mentioned on the Twitter I've already locked in a half because the market was so weak. I thought I'd err it to the side of safety with that one. Right, that's what we've got for tonight. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.